My husband works night shifts and it's tearing our family apart. I feel like a single mom and I'm emotionally breaking down. I don't want a divorce. Hi Reddit. I don't even know where to begin. I, 30F, have been with my husband, 35M, for over a decade. We've been married for 10 years and we have one daughter together who's 8. I love him, or at least I think I still do, but lately I feel like I'm living alone, raising a child alone, and crying myself to sleep while someone else sleeps peacefully next to me, completely unaware of how broken I feel inside. He works night shifts, has been for years. And I get it. When he started, it made sense. The pay was better, it gave us some stability, and back then we didn't have a child. I supported him 100%. But what started as a temporary situation has now become a permanent lifestyle, and it's destroying our marriage. When he's home, he's asleep. When he's awake, he's emotionally unavailable. He zones out in front of the TV or his phone. He says he's too tired to do anything. Too tired to play with our daughter. Too tired to go for a walk. Too tired to talk. I don't even remember the last time we had a real conversation that wasn't about bills or groceries. We haven't gone on a date in years. We haven't had sex in. I honestly don't even know. I've stopped counting. And meanwhile, I do everything. I'm the one getting our daughter ready for school, helping with homework, attending school events, doctor's appointments, making meals, cleaning the house, doing laundry, making sure she brushes her teeth, reads enough, gets outside. I'm the one she cries to, the one who listens when she says, "Why doesn't daddy play with me?" And I have no answer. What do I say? That he's tired? That we don't matter enough? On top of everything, I've started doing small online work. Nothing big, just freelance gigs or short-term projects, mostly to keep my mind busy and feel like I have something that's mine. Something that makes me feel like I'm still a person and not just a full-time caretaker with no emotional support. And sometimes I feel guilty even doing that, because it's time I could be cleaning or resting. But the truth is, I need the distraction. I'm drowning emotionally. I've talked to him so many times. Calm talks, emotional breakdowns, desperate late-night conversations while he stares at his phone and says, "I hear you. I just don't know what you want me to do." I've told him, clearly, I want him to consider switching to a different job, or at least a different shift. I want him to see a therapist with me. I want him to try. But every time, it's the same response. I've been at this job too long. It's stable. I don't want to start over. It's not that bad, or worse. This is just how life is. But this is not life. This is survival. This is a woman withering away inside a marriage that used to feel warm and safe. This is a child slowly learning that her dad is physically present but emotionally absent. This is me falling out of love and hating myself for it, because I don't want to. I don't want to divorce him. I really don't. I didn't marry this man thinking I'd end up sleeping next to a ghost. But I also can't keep living like this. I feel like if something doesn't change soon, I'll reach a point of no return, emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically. I've lost weight. I barely sleep. I cry in the shower so my daughter doesn't hear. I'm angry all the time. Not just at him, but at life. And that's not who I am. I know I'm not perfect either. I get snappy. I get cold. Sometimes I shut down too. But I've tried to fight for us. I've tried to hold this family together with shaking hands. And I'm just tired. Has anyone else been in a similar situation? How do you ask someone to choose you again, without sounding like you're nagging? How do I get through to someone who doesn't see that the family he's trying to provide for is slowly falling apart in front of his eyes? Please, Reddit. I need advice. I need hope. I need to know I'm not crazy for thinking that this isn't how marriage is supposed to feel. Comment 1. This isn't sustainable, and you know it. He's prioritizing his comfort over your family's well-being. That job might be secure, but what's the point if he loses his wife and child in the process? You're not asking for luxury. You're asking for presence. Comment 2. I was your husband. I worked nights for years, told myself I was doing it for the family, but I was really just avoiding responsibility during the day. My wife left me. It took losing everything to realize how absent I was. Talk to him one more time, but don't let him drag you down because he's too scared of change. Comment 3. You're basically a single parent with a roommate who sleeps a lot. I know you don't want divorce, but unless he wakes up, metaphorically and literally, you'll have to decide if this is the example you want to set for your daughter. Update 1. Hi again, Reddit. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I read every single reply, some multiple times, and I cried more than I care to admit. Just seeing that strangers were willing to listen, to understand, and not minimize my feelings, it meant more than I can express. Especially those of you who said, "You're not crazy. This isn't how a marriage is supposed to feel." I needed to hear that. So, here's what happened since then. I decided to ask my husband one last time to consider couples therapy. I didn't make it emotional. I didn't beg or cry. I just calmly explained that I needed help navigating how I was feeling, and I wanted to do it with him, not alone. His response? He laughed, and then got annoyed. He said, "So what? Now you think I'm the problem?" I said, "No, I think we have a problem, and I want to fix it with you. He said therapy was a waste of time, that it's just people paying to be told what they want to hear, and that he's already doing more than enough. That was a gut punch, but I didn't want to give up completely, so I decided to go to therapy alone. I've had 3 sessions so far. Just being able to talk freely, without judgment, has helped me feel like me again. My therapist is helping me unpack the layers of guilt, exhaustion, and resentment I've been carrying for years. She told me something that really stuck. You can't fix a relationship alone. You can only take responsibility for your side of the bridge. When I told my husband I was going to therapy on my own, I thought maybe, it would show him how serious I was, that it would motivate him to meet me halfway. Instead, he got angry. He accused me of giving up on him, said I was acting like he's the bad guy and turning strangers and therapists against him. He told me I was disrespecting everything he's done for this family, that I was ungrateful and selfish, and that no matter what he does, it's never good enough for me. I was speechless. I never once told him he was a bad husband or father, only that I felt alone, that I needed partnership, that I was overwhelmed. But he took it all as an attack. And now I feel even more alone than I did before. The sad part? I don't even feel angry anymore. Just numb. Like I'm watching my own life from outside my body. We barely speak now. He sleeps, works, comes home, zones out, repeats. He doesn't ask how therapy's going. He doesn't ask how I'm doing. Our daughter keeps asking, why don't we eat dinner together anymore? And I don't have an answer that won't break her heart. So that's where I'm at. Still married. Still trying, I guess. But I'm also preparing myself emotionally for the possibility that this might not be fixable. That maybe I've been holding on to something that's already gone. I don't want a divorce, but I also don't want to disappear inside a life that makes me feel this small. I'm going to keep going to therapy. For me. For my daughter. And maybe, just maybe, for the tiny part of our marriage that might still be salvageable. But I can't keep carrying the entire weight of this relationship while he refuses to even acknowledge it's broken. Thank you again to everyone who shared their stories and gave me support. I really, truly appreciate it. Update 2. Hey Reddit. I guess this is my final post. I wanted to come back and close the chapter because so many of you have been following and offering support through what's been the hardest season of my life. I'm filing for divorce. It still feels surreal to say it. For so long, I clung to the idea that we could be fixed. That if I just tried harder, found the right words, gave him more time, eventually something would click. That he'd look at me and see his wife again. That he'd look at our daughter and choose to show up. But he didn't. He never did. And now, after everything, I finally see it wasn't because he couldn't. It was because he wouldn't. Here's what pushed me over the edge. A series of moments, really. None of them huge on their own. But together, they painted the picture I'd been avoiding for years. A few weeks ago, our daughter had a small school concert. She was so excited, practicing her song for days, picking out her outfit, asking me if Daddy would come. I told her I'd ask him. He said he'd try. I even rearranged my therapy session to make the day easier. He didn't show up. He texted me an hour before saying he was too tired after work and needed to crash. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. I just sat in the school auditorium, watching my daughter scan the crowd every few minutes, searching for him. Afterward, she said, maybe next time, and I realized, she's already adjusting to his absence. That broke me more than anything. Then came the night when I asked him, gently, if he could spend Sunday with us. No phones, no screens, just a day together. He said okay. That Sunday, he slept till 2 p.m., then spent the rest of the day in the garage working on something important and watching YouTube. At dinner, he barely spoke. Our daughter tried to show him a picture she drew, and he barely glanced at it. That night, I lay awake and thought, he's already gone. I've just been waiting for him to notice. In therapy, we talked about something called ambiguous loss, when someone is physically present but emotionally absent. That described our entire relationship for the past few years. I realized I'd been grieving a man who sleeps next to me every night. The final straw? He found my journal. He read it, without asking, and confronted me in this weird, cold way. He said things like, so now I'm some emotionally distant monster? And, you've been planning to leave this whole time, haven't you? He didn't ask how I was feeling. He didn't ask why I wrote what I wrote. He just made it about him. Accused me of playing the victim, of making him the villain in my story. That night, after he stormed out, I packed a bag for me and my daughter and went to stay at my sister's for a few days. And in that quiet space, away from the tension, away from walking on eggshells, I finally exhaled. I saw how light my daughter was, how relaxed. She slept through the night without waking up once. She laughed. I laughed. I knew what I had to do. I came back, sat him down, told him calmly that I'm filing, that I've made my decision, that I refuse to keep sacrificing myself and my daughter's emotional development on the altar of his stability, that I've tried, and I'm done. He was shocked. He didn't believe me at first. Then came the guilt tripping, the what about everything I've done for you, that you're ruining our family. I stayed calm. I didn't defend. I just repeated, this isn't working. It hasn't worked for a long time. And I'm not doing this anymore. Now I'm meeting with a lawyer this week. My therapist is helping me build a plan, both logistically and emotionally. My daughter is doing okay. I'm not hiding anything from her, but I'm keeping it age appropriate. I've told her that sometimes grown-ups love each other, but still need to live in different homes to be happy. She said, "Well, I still see Daddy sometimes," and I said, "Yes, but Mommy will always be here." She nodded and hugged me. That was all she needed in that moment. So that's it, Reddit. That's the end of this chapter. I don't feel victorious. I feel sad, but also free. I feel like I'm finally stepping back into my own life. If anyone reading this is in that in-between space, the silent grief, the slow erosion, I just want to say, your pain is real. And you deserve more than just being tolerated. You deserve partnership, connection, presence. Thank you to everyone who walked through this with me. Even just reading helped me feel less alone. Take care of yourselves. Truly.